Oh, sharp. Tier list. He updated his tier list. So, I thought it might be funny to do my own tier list. Right, so this is his current tier list. He's added the Onryo in. It's about the tier list, alright? It gave me an idea, and I thought, fuck it, I'll do my own tier list. So this is what he's got currently. And I have a different opinion on some of these, mainly due to the fact that I don't play as half of them, or I play against them, and I think some are harder to deal with than others because of how I play. So I thought it might be fun to do my own tier list. Alright? So it doesn't really have anything to do with Ots, it's just the fact that he did a tier list. Is this right? Can I just do it from here? Wait, why is there so many... Why is there so many pictures of the same characters? Oh, I like the red ones more, I think. Okay, this will be interesting. And I want your opinions as well. Yes, exactly. There's a few that I don't agree on. And there's a few that I do agree on. So, SS. I don't really know what SS is. He doesn't have an SS. SABCD. Yeah, let's just do SABCD. Can we just get rid of this one? Or does this one have to be delete row? Yeah, let's just delete the row. There you go. SABCD. So if D's like completely useless, shall we start at D? Question first. Yeah, go on. Hit me with a question. Sorry. Let me make this bigger. I've got adverts all over the place. Hang on. I'm going to trim this while you're writing a question. Because this is just going to be based on my opinion, though, guys, okay? So, like, I've got killers that I really like playing as, and I've got killers that I can't stand playing as. So this is a personal opinion. But it'll be a good conversation piece. Like, I'll enjoy your feedback. We can have a fun debate about it. Let me put me down there. There you go. This is good. This is good. Tell me your opinion about the new killer. Okay, let's start with her then. Let's start with Onryo. So, I think a lot of people have put her in like the C and B sort of tier. And I guess if you're talking about, if S is, you can't do anything against them really. If they're good, if they're like a good player. I don't think she's S tier. Let's put it that way. Let's put it that way. Like totally. I wouldn't say she's S tier at all. So I'm gonna put her. Let's have a look. So S is going to be like nurse and people like that, right? If she's played well, I think she could be B. I don't think she's A. Played against her, and I've had varied MMR killers playing as her. And I don't think she's too impossible to get away from. She's very quick, and she's good. But I think she might be B. This is what I'm getting confused about. Okay. Onryo and Oni. If we're basing it off of someone who mains them, Onryo would shit on Oni. Oni is literally a one-hit killer. I don't think Oni's that good. In all fairness, from what I've seen and experienced, I know if someone's amazing as him, he can be really good. But I don't know. Okay, let's base it on experience then, because otherwise we're going to get really, really bogged down. Killers that I've played against, who have played so far as Onryo, I'd say she's B. Because she can either be really, really good or really trash and she gets no hooks. So I think to put her in B, which is like the middle ground, I think that's fair. So I'm gonna go with Onryo as B. Just based on experience, me playing her and playing against her. Sometimes I get 4Ks across the board. Like, I feel like she's really unstoppable, so she would be then in S. But then other games I've had recently, where against the Swift, you're struggling. You're really struggling. So, yeah. And again, depends on perks and builds, but her inbuilt Mori is trash. Unless you're going against complete sponges. In my opinion. Yeah, her ability to try and get ahead of a survivor is good, but her actual anti-loop, no, her anti-loop doesn't exist. So I think for that, I think B. We might mix the list up, but gut instinct, I haven't got anyone else on the board. Someone asked for her to be first. I'm going to put a B. They need to buff her. I think they need to buff her, yeah. She could do with a buff. She's fun to play as. She could be better, but she could also be a lot worse. Let's not spend too much time on each one, because we can always come back to them. Who do you want next? We've got the full extensive list down here. Can I move these? Oh, I can move these. Okay. Do you want me to go in order, or do you want to spit out a name, and we'll do them in a random order? Because I don't really mind. I think they were in order. Nemi. You want to do Nemi next, yeah? Okay. Nemesis. Okay. My gut instinct... This could change throughout this conversation, by the way. This could easily change. But my gut instinct right now, based on what I just said, that I'm looking at criteria-wise, playing as and playing against, how consistently strong do I feel they are, personally, in my opinion, I think he's the same. I think I'd put him as B as well. Sometimes I'm getting 4Ks across the board. Other times, struggling to tear up on his whip, which is really where he's strong. But he does have range and normal attack, so he's varied. Interesting. What are you guys thinking with this? He's easily countered. If you pre-drop pallets or bait dropping a pallet, you can easily outmaneuver his whip. That's something I've noticed, personally. If I'm honest. His zombie add-ons make him a bit better. I think his add-ons, though, from my experience playing as him and against him, I think are a bit hit and miss. I think sometimes they're good and sometimes you won't notice. Like the speed ups, for instance. Sometimes I notice that a lot, and in other games they're just not there. It's like the zombies aren't even there. They're super terrifying. I think B. Honestly, at the moment, I think B. This might change as we go down the list. I can't put everyone in B. I actually cannot put everyone in B. All of them respawn at gates. Yeah, that's add-ons, but you've got to assume people are using the best add-ons. His zombies are annoying, but they get stuck as well. Other than that, they can counter him pretty decent. Yeah, that's why I'm thinking B. I think he's mid-tier. If we're going B is mid, S is like top of the food chain, A is really strong, but not quite top. B is mid. C is they're a bit below par. And D is they're pretty trash. Let's be honest, they're trash. So you would say C too, guys. Okay, yeah, cool. You'd say C, okay. You would say C. Interesting. Okay. I forgot I just put him as B. Disco, how you doing? Thanks for coming through. Hope you're well. Just doing my own mock tier list for DBD killers. Okay, I'm going to leave him in B, but I can see why you guys would put him as C. That might change, because obviously there's going to be comparisons when we add more people in. So I'm not set on this yet. But so far, I think they're Bs. Who do we want next? Ghosty? Okay. If I'm totally honest, I think I've played against one decent Ghostface. And I think when I play as Ghostface against even shit people, sometimes I can struggle. I hate to do it because I love Ghosty, but I think he's D. And I think based on the community, he's D. He's so low tier, it's not on the board. I got to put him on the board. D is bottom of the food chain. I cannot wait for the buff, Jade. I cannot wait for the buff because I love Ghostface as a character. Your husband. I think he's been played by as many females as he has males, so it might be your wife, not husband. But yeah. So I think he's D. I think most people agree with that. I don't think we need to spend too much time on him. I think we could just jump straight into the next one, right? I think it's pretty obvious. He's D. His power should be better than it is. Really. If you explained to someone who knew his power, you'd be like, oh, he must be awesome. And he just isn't. Even if you camp with him, it's hard work. Because you have to stalk, but not be brought out of stalk by the person on the hook. But then you've still got to get to the person that you've exposed. Or you 99 them, then get close. It's still difficult. So I haven't even had much joy in them games where I've needed to camp with him, if I'm totally honest. They've been difficult. So yeah, I don't think he's above D at the moment. But hopefully with a buff, he will be. Pig. This hurts me as well, because I really like Pig. I don't want to say I was a Pig main, but I did play Pig a lot. I do have a soft spot for Pig. But the problem is she relies so much on the map. There's only 2 maps that she can really be good on. Even then, it can be a struggle. Then you've got to worry about her add-ons. She's good if you can see through walls, but that works on 2 maps. I think I'm going to have to put her on D. That's so sad as well. That's so sad. She's C? Really? When was the last time you played a good Pig? Honestly, whenever I play against a Pig, I shit on them. I'm not worried in the slightest. Yeah, 9 times out of 10, the helmets come off immediately. It's only if people panic. I don't know. I see your comparison. I get your points. 100% get your points. She does create more pressure than Ghostface. Ghostface creates 0 pressure. So it's not hard, but I just feel like high MMR, because I played her a lot, so I definitely played her at high MMR, or higher MMR than average, and she struggles. Not when I play him. Not when you play Ghosty. Yeah, no, you're good. You're good as Ghosty for sure. Yeah, if in comparison, she's better than Ghosty, but I don't think she's C tier yet. Maybe we'll see how the list goes. Anti-loop with the rush is only if people stand still and wait at the pallet. That's really the only... She doesn't stop people from utilising loops, though. And 9 times out of 10, it's a 50-50 chance with her dash whether she's actually going to hit somebody. So I think based on that, I don't think it's a strong anti-loop. Again, stronger than Ghostface, because he's got 0 anti-loop. But if you were to put her anti-loop on a tier list, it would be like D, right? She's 50-50. You know she's going to go one way or the other. It's just a mind game. And if you're paying enough attention, you can kind of guess which way she's going to go. So it is still kind of avoidable. And I think I'll stick with D for now. And we'll see. You brought up valid points. Very valid points. If we're talking full capability, she's not D. I haven't played against a Pig that would make me put her above D. That might just be my MMR. So your MMR as a survivor is higher than mine, I would say. So you probably played against better Pigs than I have. But every Pig I play against, I don't think they've ever got a 4K. And when I play as Pig, sometimes against decent teams, she feels weak. So I'm just going off the survivor and killer side of things. Playing as and playing against. There is no real clarification or classification or criteria. I'm basing it on my personal opinion, which will be my own MMR, which will probably be lower or higher than some people who are watching this. So, you know, and I play both sides, but I play Pig regularly more than some of the other killers. So I feel like I've got a good good view on it. And playing against Pig, again, it's down to my MMR and personal bias. So you might have played against better Pigs than me, but she doesn't touch anything. I think I played against one good Ghostface and one mediocre Pig. I don't remember these two getting many 4Ks when I played the Survivor. And when I play as them, I find it harder and harder to get 4Ks. Pig, not so much. I mean, saying that though, in the Ots challenge that I did on stream, I think I got 2K with Pig, with no perks or add-ons. So maybe I'm lying. Maybe she is C tier based on that. That was one game though. And a lot of that was camping, which is down to my skill. I could grab anyone off the hook. I don't have to play as Pig to do that. So I don't know if it was her or so much of me, really. I don't know. It's interesting, though. It's a good discussion point. You're very right, though. She does have a form of anti-loot, which I wasn't really considering. And now I've said about the Ots, I kind of feel like I want to move her up. We will see. I want to see who else goes in here, and then I might consider moving her up. It should be based on killer and not MMR. But then, how am I basing... What, on the killer's power? Killer's D, then. If it's not an MMR, or my personal opinion, I would say her power's D. I've played as her. It's D. The traps are a joke. They're a meme at this point. They don't... They might get you a tiny bit of slowdown, but against a good, well-organised Swift, not touching the sides. So if we're just going based on killer and their power, she's D. 100% D. I was only leaning towards C from your argument and playing as her. But again, that's going to be MMR. MMR is going to factor in, unfortunately, I think. Because their power stacks up in the MMR. So even if I'm not talking about my own MMR, it's going to be a talking point. Huntress, okay. I'll come back to Pig. Pig might move. I'm in two minds. Huntress, okay. Huntress, interesting actually, because she's a slow M1 killer, but her power's good if you're good as her. So if we're talking about her in the upper echelons, I think she's C or B, because I've seen Coconut RTS, who's the best Huntress player I've ever seen. And sometimes he really fucking struggles. I'm going to say sometimes, like, I see 50% of his games, he's relying on, like, Blood Warden and No Way Out to try and claw back the game. And if they can't finish the game in normal circumstances, they're not a strong killer. But to be fair, I think she could easily go in B, because she does have the quickest, I don't know how you would say it, M2 to M1. It's the quickest turnaround. Like down to kill to down time or something. So attack to down. I don't know. I can't remember what the term is. One of you will probably know what I'm talking about. But I think based on that, I have to put her at B. But just her basic power, I think she's C. But I think quick to down to kill to down time, or whatever it is, I think pushes her up to B. I think. In terms of fun, if this was a fun list, that's a different list. She's a lot higher up if we're talking about fun. If you come across a good Huntress, you're finished, which is why I personally say A. I get that argument. I completely understand what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying. But again, another reason why I wouldn't put her in A is because I don't see good Huntresses. And even the ones that I have seen that have been good, they don't get 4Ks. Honestly. Again, that could be my MMR. I'm probably lower. You have to look at MMR. You have to, I think. Because I can only base this off so much information. But then if you play them constantly at high levels, then you're going to have a different opinion automatically. So you kind of have to use MMR. I don't think you could just ignore it. If we're talking her base power, though, it's C or B, really. Because if the person's not accurate with the hatchets, they're shit. If they're good with... So if you're no good at throwing the hatchets and you're brand new, she's D. Because she's slow as M1 without hatchets. If she's really good with hatchets, she's S. So then it depends on player. But then you're talking about MMR. We're literally removing all perk builds and just judging them on base power. I mark her down then. I put her a C. Base power. No perks. Base power. I would then consider moving her down. No. It's a good conversation. It needs to be there, really, because she's a very slow M1 killer. So then she's relying on the fact that she's going to hit you with a hatchet. I'm kind of making it up as we go, really. But based on her power, if we're only looking at powers only, which we have done for the other three, she's only got hatchets. I have to move her down. If you're talking full capabilities, she's an easy A. I don't think she's A. I don't think she ever gets to A. They would have to change a lot about her to get her to A. With best perks and add-ons, say eerie hatchets. She only gets one now, right? So, basing it on... Well, I was originally basing it on their base power, plus my opinion in terms of playing as them and playing against them. That was basically... So it hasn't changed, really. I'm toying with B and C based on the same criteria that I judged the others on. Why Huntress on a C? Because they're base power, basically. Then it's dependent on the player. And then if I do intercede my own, or interject my own opinion, playing as her, it's all about the hatchets, isn't it? Everyone knows that. She's a slow M1 killer. She's slower than Ghosty and Pig as an M1, so they're D. But because she's got the ability with the range attack, if you're even okay with it, she's now C. If you're saying she's amazing, whoever's playing her is amazing, then you can bump her up. You can bump her up as many times as you like, really. But even Coconut with Huntress is tough to put at A. And he's one of the best Huntress players in the world, if not the best. She would be like a B+ in Coconut's hands, I would say. So I have to put it on C, because you're looking at anomalies then. You're looking at people who are like the best of the best, which then detracts away from their power, I guess. So if I'm talking base power, I'm saying C. If we're basing this list on fun, though, Huntress is one of the more fun killers to play as, right? Should be S tier for fun. Yeah, I think I'll drop it to C. I was going to go B, but based on comparing powers with these two, this has got map pressure, the ability to move around the map quickly, silent, can instant Mori if she gets there, ranged attack, short range attack, tier 3, so he can level up one of his attacks. These two have more to offer than she does. She's got range. She's got good range. That's it. So if I'm doing a comparison on powers, she's C. She could easily be D if we're just doing it purely on power. If we're judging it like this, Nurse would be not low. I wouldn't put Nurse as S tier, in my opinion. Okay, we'll do Nurse next. That's a really good shout. I think just because Nurse can ignore... Fuck's sake. Can ignore the normal, everyday aspects of the map. You know, like pallets and things like that. She can ignore them. I think she's A. I don't think she's S. I really don't think she's S. Everyone says she's S. I don't think so. If I'm honest, I don't think so. Because that's all she's got. Is that teleport. But I've seen countless people run around good nurses. I don't think it's all that, to be honest. I think in S, I think I'd only have one killer, probably in S now, with the changes that we're currently looking at. And that's probably Blight. I've played against countless Blights. And countless good blights. The only difference here is really these two are normally together, and I've split them up. That's all that's really happened here. But yeah, playing against top blights with his base power is very map dependent. Yeah. She's one of the strongest killers in the game, based on the fact that she ignores a lot of the. But with the thing is, because she's got such a high steep learning curve, and if you base it on the actual kills, she doesn't get that many kills. What's the DBD kill list? This is the funny thing. Killer kills list. Kill rate. Yeah, the kill rate, sorry. Is this the latest one? Nurse is nowhere up there. Yeah. You're telling me Nurse is the strongest player in the game. But the stats don't back that up, though. But I think she's one of the strongest in the game, but the stats don't base it. She's got a steep learning curve. People don't play as her. This is why this is low. People can't be asked to learn her. They can't be asked, because there's too many killers to play as that don't require... Like, Pig is up here. But then we've got Pig down here. You know? This doesn't marry up to this. Or anyone's. Actually, what was Otz? Because he is an aficionado in terms of knowledge in the game. Like, whether he's overrated or not. I know people don't like him and whatnot. But his... Was this his tier list? Was this the recent one? No, that wasn't the recent one. I don't think. Hang on. Oh, that one. There you go. So, when we see his tier list come up, I want to see what he's got for these guys so far. Okay, cool. So he's got Nurse, Blight, Spirit. Everyone says this. So, let's have a look where they are then. Nurse, bottom. Blight. Blight's here. And then Spirit. There. So, you know, they're not consistent with the most kills. Who's the most picked? Shape gets picked a lot. Huntress gets picked, yeah. Because she's one of the most fun to play. So, it's how you're gonna negotiate around the conflicting, contradictory information that we've got here. Majority of people believe in God and it's not real. So why you say it high? Because all people say it. I don't say Nurse is high though. I actually put Nurse down. Everyone says Nurse is S tier and the strongest in the game. I don't think so. I put her as A. She's still really strong. But on base power, she's not a fast M1 killer. M1 killer, she's probably below Huntress. So she's just got the teleports. And if you're against smart survivors, or even one smart survivor, if this is taken up in chase, yeah, she can get around the map quickly, like Omrio, but she's got a bit more accuracy and she's not relying on TVs. So she could be B, based on the fact that she's got teleport and basic attack. But the blink itself is a lot more accurate. It's not like a Freddie teleport. And I just don't think she's top tier. And that isn't because of this, but actually looking at this, it does sort of validate what I'm saying a little bit. I don't think she can be the strongest if her kill rate is the lowest. I know this list is fucking weird. And I don't fully get it. And this is by no means proof of anything. But I wouldn't put Nurse in D tier. But if you're doing kills, S tier is these guys. And I don't think anyone is putting these three in S tier. Like, at all. So, it's kind of weird. M1 killer, she is E tier. Yeah. That's why I don't have her at the top. Because if you were to play as all the killers and do them as M1 killers only and didn't use their power, Mike kills is not skills. It is, right? So Cenobite's S tier now, apparently. So, yeah, so if we're doing M1 killer challenge, the two that are going to lose are going to be Nurse and Huntress. It's their powers that save them from being DE tier, right? These two powers, shit, really. Absolutely shit. So that's why she's C. And she's A because her power is probably more consistent than the Hatchets. It's less avoidable than the Hatchets. And she could be pinpoint where she is more than, say, Onryo. So that's my logic for putting her as A. But Blight can be an M1 killer. You can just use his power to get around the map quickly. That in itself would still leave him at A. But if you can use his power properly, which we're saying, you know, using their base powers, he's S. Trying to get away from Blight can be a fucking nightmare. Whereas Nurse, not as much. There's not much in this. There's S and A. But just to get S out of the way, because I don't think I'm putting anyone else up there, I think Blight goes up there. And then if I bring in, like, my personal point of view, playing against Blights, which I seem to play against all the fucking time. I don't know why. I don't think they get picked that much, do they? What's their pick rate? Yeah, only 3.414%. So they don't get picked that much, but I seem to play against them all the time. And when I play against a good Blight, even a half okay Blight can still do really well. They can churn out 4Ks. If you play against an okay Nurse, they're not going to get a 4K. Really. They need to be a lot better. The learning curve for these two, again, and I think that's why I've differentiated them. I think Blight's easier to learn than Nurse. I think most people agree with that. So just on that basis, that's why I would only have Blight in an S tier. But to be honest, he could be there, to be honest. But, yeah. But behaviour don't look at the right stuff anyway. But, you know, it is what it is. But there's no need to have arguments about it. This is my opinion anyway. I'm happy to listen to you guys. I get most of your guys' arguments as well. Like, I haven't really disagreed with any of your arguments. Basically, when you can't loop a killer as a survivor, they're strong. Kind of. I mean, looping comes into it, really. But, like, sometimes with, like, I mean, obviously these two kind of negate the looping aspect, their powers, because Blight's got such a quick catch-up that he can normally get to someone before they even get to a loop, and Nurse's power completely ignores loops. So, yeah, I guess if you're looking at it on loops, yeah. Onryo and Nemesis are good at loops, though. Still. They're just not this good, you know? Yeah, Spirit. Okay, well that moves us nicely onto Spirit, actually. We might as well get her out of the way. This might upset a few of you. She's B. She's B. She's an over-glorified M1 killer. She's B. Yeah, I don't get the hype. Maybe it was before they nerfed the shit out of her. Maybe she was higher. I very rarely play against Spirits before the nerf, and now I've played her a lot after the nerf, and I've got nothing to compare it to. But if we're going on base power, she can't fucking see anything, so smart survivors just won't run and leave scratch marks. A lot of them run Iron Will. Her power's fucking pretty shit now, to be fair. Maybe before she was, I know these three are normally considered to be with each other, but I think you got to go out of your way to try and mind game. And if you're against survivors, again, as I said, who aren't really running around because they're smart, they're not leaving, you know, scratch marks. Most of them run Iron Will. She's pretty fucked. Pretty fucked, to be fair. You know, I'm more worried playing against these two, especially if they potentially could be good, than I am playing against Spirit. Literally, with Spirit. Yeah, she got destroyed by the nerfs. Yeah, I mean, obviously Otz has kept these three on the top. And he's more knowledgeable of the game than me. So, you know, but it's all opinion based, the list. It's all opinion. So, you know, yeah. I don't think I need to say too much more, really. I've explained why I think she's there. I get why people would say she's higher, but I think people get stuck with Blight, Nurse, and Spirit being the top 3, if I'm honest. I'm not saying that's anyone here in the chat, because none of you have said that these 3 should be S tier. No one said that. But I think most of the community go, they're the best 3. And it's like, yeah, but are they? I really don't think Spirit, not anymore, should be in. Yeah, the game changed. Yeah, the game changed. They get nerfed. They get whatever. She got nerfed, and people just seem to pretend that she's still S tier. She's not. She could be potentially A. I just really don't think so. Especially when her power is, I can't see anything. So then you've got to go off hearing, and you've got to go off seeing grass moving or scratch marks. She's not B. Oh, so you said she's between B and A, but now you're saying she's not B. Where would you put her, Jade? Out of interest, where would you put her? Nemi might not stay here. As the list goes on, it is making me think differently about some of the others. But I haven't moved anybody yet. I will revise if I think they need to be moved. But don't think of B as in, oh, A, B. B's not number 2. B is like middle of the road. Like, B is average. And that's only because he's got ranged and normal attacks. Like, he's M1, and he's also got a ranged attack. And the ranged attack can tier. So, that's why he's there. If his M1 was slower, he would be there. He would be next to Huntress. 100% he'd be next to Huntress. That's really the only difference between them. Is his M1 is normal M1, whereas Huntress's M1 slower. Her ranged attack might be slightly better than his, but her M1 is slower. So I have to put her down. I have to mark her down for that. I know it hurts your feelings. I love playing as Huntress. I'm not actually that good at Huntress at all, but I really enjoy playing as her. And that's why she's got an 8% pick rate, but a low kill rate. You know? Obviously, this stats don't say everything, but this tells you that she's probably the most fun killer to play as. Honestly. And I believe that. She would be S tier if it was a fun list. We could do that another time. I might do that another time. I don't know if I could do it tonight, because we've still got quite a few killers to get through. Who's next? Who do you want next, guys? I know you're going to fight for Huntress until you're blue in the face, Jade. I know you are. Mate, you could do a tier list. It's fine. Yeah, I thought it might be interesting for people to get my opinion. I'm probably going to rate killers higher or lower than people would expect, so... Yo, Sir Henchington with the 100 biddies. How you doing, buddy? How are you doing, sir? For some reason, the actual alert says 10, but it's 100. It's 100. Hondo. Yeah, I'm doing a tier list for the killers of Dead by Daylight. Ew. Who is Uwu? I'll just pick somebody. Doctor is D. No. We'll do Doctor next. Doctor, in my opinion, hang about, is probably here. Now, the reason I say that is because if we're going on base power, he's got really good anti-loop. Because he can actually... He's on spirits level because he can actually see survivors. He's got anti-loop, which is stronger than spirit now that she's been nerfed. He's got good map awareness without needing perks. Because if you're doing this perkless, remember, she's got no clue where anyone is unless she sees grass moving, blood marks, or she hears somebody. Yeah? That's a lot you're relying on. Doctor, on the other hand, just needs you in his terror radius, which is a lot easier. And he can find out where you are. So his ability to find people, that's 1. He's normal M1 speed. That's 2 good points. And he's got the ability to anti-loop, to actually stop you or trap you in a loop. That's 3 points. That's 3 points of power. That's more than Huntress. So he's not C. That's 3 times more than these two. So he has to be B, based on the logic I've used already. You can literally forward key a doctor around the whole map. I would disagree. I don't know what doctors you've played against, but honestly, I think I've played against maybe 1 or 2 bad doctors. Realistically. Obviously the numbers are exaggerated, but you can disagree, and that's fine. But I don't think you can hold forward, really. Not against a decent doctor. Maybe against a crap doctor, you can hold forward. You can dodge his power for a certain amount of time if you're not in his terror radius. But if you're looking at... You've got to look at the whole team base, and you've got to look at solos. So if you were holding forward against him, and you're getting away from him, a smart doctor's going to leave you alone, right? He's going to leave you and go for somebody else, if that's the way you're playing. A whole Swift isn't just going to hold forward, are they? You know? And on 1v1s, he's got anti-loops. Spirit hasn't got anti-loops. If we're just holding forward, she's got a slight speed up if she uses her power, but then she doesn't have anti-loop. She's going to come up against a window. Holding forward, you can do against most of these, apart from Nurse and Blight, really. And actually even Omrio, because she can get ahead of you. So holding forward works for pretty much 95% of the killers. You could probably use that for most of your answers. Spirit is an anti-loop in her entirety. No, because she has to find them first. If you're not using perks, which is what we said earlier, how is she finding people? If people don't move and they've got Iron Will, she's not finding anybody in her power, is she? So her power is pretty weak. We're talking about powers, aren't we? Not how you would play against a specific killer. There's tactics to go against all killers. You know? And we could talk about those as well, but it doesn't rate into their tier list in powers. Doctor's got more to offer than Spirit. But if someone who's playing Spirit is better playing a Spirit than someone who's playing as Doctor, then obviously the Spirit's going to be better. Because there's people playing as these guys, and they have their own skill level, but that's not what we're talking about. All you need is a good headset. Yeah, unless they got Iron Will, really. Then you're not really hearing anything. And even without Iron Will, I've seen loads of games where you just can't hear people because the game's either buggy or... There's just a lot that relies on that one power, whereas Doctor's got, like, technically 2 powers, and he's normal M1. And if you're comparing him just solely to Spirit, he can actually see. He doesn't need to rely on the game not lagging out on the sound or scratch marks or anything like that. The Doctor doesn't need to rely so much on those things, you know, because he's got more power. We're talking about powers. I understand your argument, but again, holding forward, you can do that against a lot of these. An awful lot of these, actually. Holding forward is probably one of the strongest things you can do in Dead by Daylight. Apart from a couple of killers, anyway. But there's a lot you have to rely on with Spirit that you don't have to rely on with Doctor. And I always think Doctor gets a harsh review. Let's see where Otz put Doctor, just for context. Where's Doctor? Why can't I see? Oh, that's Trapper. Oh, there. Okay. So he put him as C. So Doctor is C. Okay. I mean, this is weird. Straight away. This is weird unless you're talking about add-ons. I'm not sure what criteria he used. I don't think I agree with this either. Actually, I probably don't agree with most of it, but it's just interesting. But if we're just doing it based purely on power, he needs add-ons for his power to be effective. No, I don't think so. But again, it's down to opinion. My opinion would say that I would probably put him higher than Spirit, to be honest. But there's going to be bias there. Whether I try and be as unbiased as I can be, unfortunately there will be a tiny bit of bias that will probably creep in. You probably think Spirit's stronger, so you're going to be biased towards Spirit. And that's the whole point of doing these. It's a fun conversation. But if we're talking about biased, Where's my guy Myers? This is... Myers is difficult for me. Myers is C or B. And I can't quite decide. Help me. I can't decide. He's C or B, I think. I think he bases it on maps, builds, and MMR. Okay. So he's rating differently. That's cool. I mean, I wasn't expecting to come out with the same list as him. I'd already seen his list briefly. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes Myers seems like a god, and then other times Myers seems terrible. Michael is reliant on builds and maps. I think I agree. With you. Again, a lot of these killers suffer from maps and builds. He's a weak killer. Okay. Where would you put him then? Is my next question. I had him between C and B. Because he's not as trash as these two. But then I think he might be more effective than Huntress, but I don't think he's as good as these guys that I've put up here. That's where I'm struggling. He is M1 and only can get good snowballs in tier 3. That is true, but we are basing it on his power. And that is his power. So the fact that he can snowball in tier 3 is a compliment to his power. But is that better? These guys... So let's recap quickly. So the reason these guys I put in B tier is because they have multiple sort of facets to their power, in turn making them stronger. These guys are down here because their power sucks and doesn't really do a hell of a lot. It does in rare occasions, but it doesn't do a lot. Huntress is in C tier just because her M1 speed is slower, and I feel like she doesn't match up quite as well strength-wise with these guys. So that being said, what is Myers' power? He's got one power, which is get up to tier 3 insta-down, right? Insta-down's good, but it can be a ball ache getting there. It's time-consuming. He doesn't really have anything to fall back on. He'd be D for you. I can't agree with D. I don't think I can agree with D. I don't know. You think Pig should be C and Michael should be D? Based on the powers? Yeah, we're trying to ignore maps and build. Realistically, we're trying to base it purely on their powers. And I'm trying to be unbiased. Solely on powers. You're saying the Pig's power... Pig has 3 powers. I guess she does. Well, we're not calling M1 a power, are we? Oh, no, Stalk. You're saying Stalk. Oh, okay. Stalk, Traps, and Ambush. Okay. Technically, then, she does have 3 powers. That's true. Undetectable. Because a couple of them have Stalk, but it varies in what it means. So, undetectable, Stalk... Ambush, traps, bear traps. Michael's a one-hit killer. That is true. That is true. I don't know, I think you've convinced me, actually. He does rely on add-ons to get to his power, actually. Yeah, because we're ignoring perks and add-ons. I think you're right. But the one thing I'm going to disagree with you on is moving Pig up. I can't even move the damn thing. Oh, are you joking? Oh, it remembered. Thank fuck. I honestly thought I was going to have to do that whole thing again. I'm disagree with Pig moving up. Just because her power is weak. Technically, she's got more powers, but we're looking at strength of powers. The traps don't kill anyone, which really was initially the focus when she was first created. So the traps now just act as a form of slowdown. But she's got to catch someone to actually slow them down. So ambush really is her only kind of strength in her powers, because the traps are so much a joke at the moment, and it pains me to say that because I really like Pig. I like playing as her a lot. I still play as her a lot, but I feel like she's weak. Pig is slow when crouched and her traps are weak. Yeah, Mitchell, you're on the same wavelength as basically what I'm trying to say. Yeah, because without add-ons, although she's undetectable, she's slow, which is Michael Myers tier 1, basically. Undetectable, slow, so they're similar. Then he's got tier 3. Yes, she's technically got ambush and traps, but the trap slowdown is kind of not there anymore. They need to nerf it. I think she's still D, but I agree with you that Michael should be D. She literally just has range. Who has range? Pig doesn't have any range. She's got to get close. Who do you mean's got range? Michael can't do anything. He has to get to tier 3. Yeah, otherwise he's just an M1 killer. Unless he stays in tier 1, then he's fucking slow as shit. Which is almost like Pig being in ambush, to be honest. But he's only in tier 1 for a short period of time. They both rely on add-ons. They both rely on maps. They both rely on builds. I can't move Pig up, but I will move Michael to D. You have convinced me that Michael should be D. Yeah, Michael is not strong. I'm agreeing on that. Yeah. With add-ons, if you use his speed up add-ons, I would say he moves into C tier for me. But that's with add-ons. I think if we're looking bare bones, which is what we've kept consistent so far, bare bones looking at powers, yeah. He's a one-trick pony. Although Pig has technically 3 powers, which I agree with, they're weak. They're all 3 weak powers. As opposed to Michael's 1 strong power. You know? I think they're very even. And Ghostface is just a poor rip-off of these two combined, basically. If you're saying Pig is D based on powers, Huntress is also slow and literally just has range. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I agree with that, obviously, but I just think Huntress's ability to snipe, and I'm going off the ability that her power pairs well with an M1, which puts her above Pig. Literally, the power to the M2 to the M1, or whatever way round it is. I don't even use keyboard and mouse. I use controller. But her ability to hit hatchets and then hit an M1 really quickly afterwards, that 1-2 combo, puts her in C tier. That's the only reason she's C tier. Otherwise, I agree with you, she would be D. M2 to M1, yeah, that is what I meant. Yeah. Her L trigger to right trigger is a lot quicker, and that makes her dangerous. So she's got range, but she's got range that she can follow up with a quick attack as well. It's that 1-2, the jab cross combo, you know? That's what leaves her at C for me. That's what leaves her a little bit above these guys. Otherwise, her power is pretty much D. She's a one-trick pony, like Myers, but because that tallies so well with the one hitter, she goes there. Let's move on. Who do we want next? Clown. It's going to break my heart to say this. It really is. Oh, fuck. We're not doing Pinky Finger. That's been nerfed anyway. He's got slowdown, but it's not good. It's really not good. It doesn't really work well as an anti-loop. It's about as good an anti-loop as the ambush, maybe even weaker. He can speed himself up, which is terrible. He's weak as fuck, and I hate saying it. Yeah, he's an M1 killer with tiny amount of slowdown in chase, which is awful. Let's move on before I get upset. These three, actually these 4 and 5 are some of my favourites to play as, and they're all weak. They're so weak. Oh dear. Okay, who's next? Who is next? Bubba. Ah. Do you know what? I think he's C. And I think it's because he's a better version of Michael Myers in terms of his insta-down is ready available. There is a bit of a knack to it. But even someone as rubbish as me as killer can get down to this chainsaw. It's just a quick insta-down. He could down more than one person at one time. It's almost 2 powers rolled into one. You know? He can insta-down one person, or he can insta-down many people. If he's camping, it's impossible. If this was a camping list, he'd be S tier. So that's why, although he's only got 1 power, I think his power is so strong that it drags him up from D to C tier. I would say he's stronger than Huntress, but I don't think he's stronger than these guys power-wise. Because he does normally rely on having, like, Bamboozle, and his add-ons suck anyway. His add-ons are so shit. If you gave all of these add-ons, you could move maybe 2 of these up a tier, but he would stay here. Because these guys get stronger with their best add-ons. Maybe not so much Nemi. So Nemi's B power-wise because he's got ranged attacks. The ranged attack can actually level up. He's normal M1 speed, which puts him above another ranged killer like Huntress. But also because he's got zombies, yeah. It's an added power. It's shit, but it can be good, you know? Compared to Pig's Traps, because she's technically got 3 powers, I guess. She's probably got more powers than most of these, actually. Onryo's kind of got 3 powers. But if you're looking at the strength of the power, yeah, he's B basically because he's got that aspect. He's ranged. Yeah, he's got zombies, yeah. And his M1's quicker than the other ranged killer we got on the list. Let's do Deathslinger because he's ranged. I think I put Deathslinger at C. He's kind of got a weird anti-loop with his gun. But again, he's limited to... Same as Huntress. He's got to hit him. It's reliant on being accurate. Or the survivors dodging. I think that makes sense. If he had something else going for him... Like before he used to have stealth, right? Before he was nerfed, his terror radius was smaller. So I might have been able to justify putting him in B. But... yeah, you can hear him from further away after the nerf. So I have to put him in C. You hear him coming a mile away. It gives you time to hide or run away. So he's the same as Huntress. You would put him in D? Would you put him in D? I would just put him in C just because his power is better than Clown. Pig. She's in A. Nurse is lower than most people would put her. Because of her speed. Her base speed. That's why I put her in A. That was my justification for not having her as S. As everyone considers her to be the best. But her teleport negates, like, the slowdown, really. That's why I didn't have her as S, though, because her base speed is slower, which makes her weaker than Blight. I don't think she should be the same level as Blight, personally. I don't agree that they're the same. At all. But yeah, that was my justification for her not being S, was the fact that she's slower. She is the slowest killer overall, but because of her power, she's not the slowest killer overall, if that makes sense. If you took away their powers, yeah, she's D. Because she's slow. But they had to make her slower because her power makes her fast in the same sense. So, yeah. That's why she's A, not S. So it marked her down, but it didn't mark her further down than that. Because although these guys, all at B, seem to have more than one power, kind of. Spirit doesn't really. She's got one power. But the other three have more than one. Although she's only got one power, her one power is better than those, to be fair. In my opinion. Well, as we were talking about teleporting, let's bring Freddie in. Freddie's a tough one for me. And I think, this is probably going to annoy people, but I think he's B. Based off the fact that he can teleport or use his teleport to fake getting people off gens. So therefore being potentially a gen slowdown. It's kind of a 2-powered 1-power move. Because you can use it in 2 different ways. Then you've got either the snares or the pallets. The snares aren't too bad in loops. And the pallets, I've had a lot of success recently with pallets personally. And when I've played against pallets, if you're not in a swift calling out where the pallets are, I think that's very powerful. So he's multi-layered, which I think puts him above the guys that are in C. But I still wouldn't say he's he's not strong by any means. But his powers, I think, are stronger than those that are beneath him. Onryo can't cancel her teleport, no. She picks a TV, she goes to it instantly. Yeah, unfortunately she can't cancel it. She can't fake it, like Freddie. But based on the fact that he can teleport like Onryo, and on the fact that he's also got the Oblivious status, and add on to that then he gets snares or pallets, depending on what add-on you use, he's got 3 powers. He's more powerful than Deathslinger and Huntress. And obviously Bubba. He's got more power that helps him. Therefore, I think he's B. The Obliviousness on its own, him and Onryo kind of similar, really. You know? Apart from they didn't give her pallets or snares. And he's not completely undetectable. But he's got like a half-assed undetectable. So he's very similar. So I can't put Onryo at B and not put Freddie at B. Open to thoughts, or I'll move on to the next one. I'm open to hear other people's opinions. I do like people telling me what they think. I like having these debates. Because again, this is all personal opinion. Everyone's tier list is their own personal opinion. No? Cool. Move on. Alright. Who have we got? Who haven't I done? Why are some of these look duplicated to me? True. Legion. I'm sorry, man. I like Legion as well. Legion, okay. We do demo next. Legion, I don't think any people are going to argue. He relies a lot on add-ons and perks to be effective. Where he used to be effective before the nerf, because he could just moonwalk after people and they'd bleed out. They nerfed the shit out of him. He's weak as fuck. If you've got people injured, his power is fucking useless. You just catch up to them maybe a little bit quicker than you would if you were running normally, but then his cooldown sucks. So yeah, I'm putting Legion D. I think his power's awful, really. I would rather play as Clown. His one saving grace with his power is he can injure multiple people. But with boons and everything else, it's fucked him over. It's fucked him over so much. And he was fun to play as. I still got a soft spot for him. Demo. Demi baby. Where is Demo? Demo. Demogorgon. I think it's B. Gut instinct. We should do Survivor tier list for perks. We could throw Meg in the trash forever. I do like using quick and quiet though. That's the one thing Meg's been good for. She gave me quick and quiet so I can get into lockers and then use head on. And I will ever be indebted to her for that, I'm afraid. But apart from that, you could throw it in the trash. Demo, shred ability, portals, and teleport through portals. Because the portals can be used multiple different ways. Similar to snares, but a little bit better. But you can teleport like Freddie. And he's got the shred for those long distance attacks that a normal lunge wouldn't get to. I think that's quite an easy one. I don't feel conflicted about that at all, actually. Anyone want in particular, or shall I just go through the rest of the list? For some reason we got pig twice on this list. Did I use the wrong pig? Hang on. I think I used the wrong pig. I think I was meant to use this pig. My bad. That's better. They all match up now. Yeah. Artist. She's got to be B, based on the criteria we've looked at with the others. Multiple powers. She can see where people are with the crows. She can injure with the crows. So it's kind of 2 powers in one. Surveillance and attack. Or is she C? I think the D tier is kind of trash can, to be honest. Yeah. Anyone got anything to say about the artist? Or are we happy with her in B? Do you agree? She's B for sure. Okay. Cool. We agree. We're getting through these quicker now. Long, short, anti-loop. Yep. Fully agree. No way she's C. Awesome. Fully agree with you. Pinhead. I would actually put Pinhead in C. Mainly because his ranged attack is shit. It's awful. Realistically. But his passive chains attack, if you don't do the box, kind of makes up for it a little bit. So his 2 powers almost become 1 power. So I would put him in C. The box saves him. 100% agree with you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The box saves him. Because his ranged attack is awful. And if you've actually tried to play as him, it's awful. Like, it feels horrific to use. Playing against him, I don't tend to get hit by it. And if I do, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, and the box is like a personal barbecue and chili for that one survivor. Yeah. Cool, okay. We're on the same page. We've had no back and forth with any of the last lot. Nice. So this is the bottom line that we're looking for. These are the last ones. Anyone you want to jump to first, guys? I'm happy to accommodate. Realistically. I don't mind. Wraith. Oh. Wraithy boy. Technically, he's got 1 power. It was nerfed. It used to be better. I think he's got to be D based on the criteria we're using. His slowdown from coming out of power puts him in D. I think if it wasn't like that, I think he would be C. You agree? Okay. Cool. We're in agreement on the last, 6, right? Happy days. Okay. Bum, 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 bum. Trapper. I'm going to hate doing this because I fucking love Trapper. I love Trapper. Oh. He might be D. Oh, no. He might be D. Oh, no, dude. He's a D, right? 1 power. Traps. Like Michael, he can snowball. But it's not guarantee. Yeah, he's got no other power. He's a one-trick pony, like a lot of these in D tier. Shit. He relies on add-ons. Really? Add-ons and perks. And basement. Shit. That's really upsetting. To put him so low. I should have known. Hello. My cat's saying hello to me. It's Luna this time. Come on in. Do you want to be on camera? Do you want to be on camera? No? Alright. Okay. Yeah. He's... You think C? Mitchell? Really? Just by the fact you can get random traps. You can. It's kind of an anti-loop. D because we're not considering maps. My only justification for potentially putting him into C would be he kind of has anti-loop. But that requires a lot of setup and a lot of chance. Because although you could try and push a survivor a certain way, they have to go that way. And then they have to use the pallet or the window that you've trapped. But it can be disarmed, which is the most annoying thing about him, with no penalty, unless you've got that add-on. And that's an add-on, and we're not talking about add-ons. But he needs setup. Yeah, he needs setup. And without perks, without corrupt intervention... Okay, I got a 4K as Trapper with no perks or add-ons, just saying. But I actually don't think I should have done. I don't think normally against... You know, even if I was going against MMR of my level, that shouldn't have happened. Yeah, you're right. We're not including perks. We're not including maps. Yeah, he has to be D. Yeah, it's sad. With add-ons and perks, this list is different. These two are the same. These two don't change. But the rest might change. Certain add-ons, certain builds... To be honest, all it does is really move some of these up to C. It might move 1 or 2 of these up to A, maybe. But then I'd have a hard job justifying that they're the same level as Nurse. Even with certain add-ons. Bring your baby up. Huntress would move up with certain add-ons and perks. She would be B. You're not thinking about this logically. I think you're thinking about this with your heart, which I appreciate. But I've had to put a few of my babies down here in D, so... Yeah. No, with perks and add-ons, I would put Huntress as B. I will justify that now. You don't agree on the Trapper. The only way I would put him in C, as I said, is because he does have technically anti-loop. But then it drops him back down a point because you'd have to set up. You'd have to set that up. You know? That's the only thing. And his power could be negated just by a survivor holding a button. They just go no to his power. It is really sad. Which doesn't happen to any of these. Well, it kind of happens to Michael, actually. Because survivors just hide. And then they're like, no, you don't get to tear up. Or with Pig. Or with Ghostface. Yeah, he's in this category where his power is counterable so easily. A lot of these you can counter, but his is so easy, and it's frustrating. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. It hurts me to put him there below Hellraiser, but below Pinhead. Okay. Fuck. Okay, twins. Twins is interesting, actually. Because, although power-wise, she doesn't have anything other than Victor going for her. I feel like there's more you can do with that than a lot of people realise. You know, like using him as surveillance. Because you can put him somewhere tactfully, like nearer the end of the game, and you can get like an idea of where people are because he's got the heartbeat monitor. Same as Charlotte. So there's that element to the power, which almost makes it like a double power, if used that way. The slugging is incredible. And she's the only killer really that can slug like that. That doesn't have a chainsaw. You can crouch to cancel that, by the way. I thought you could. I wasn't sure if that was just Hag's power or theirs. Twins are B. Give me your justification, Jade. I'm interested. I'm toying with B and C right now for twins. I want to see your arguments, guys, and I want to see the letter that you think should be and why. I was thinking B, if I'm honest. My first initial reaction was C, but then I went B, just because her slugging potential is insane. Range attack anti-loop. Yeah, you can camp people out. I'm not so sure on the anti-loop, though. Expand on your anti-loop argument. I'm not so sure on anti-loop. I think she's B. I'm agreeing with your placing. I just want to know more. I want you to elaborate on the anti-loop. Oh, I see. Okay, using Charlotte to block. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I do believe she's a B. Okay. That wasn't as much as a back and forth as I thought it was going to be. You guys are on the same page as me. Okay. Interesting. We got Hillbilly, Hag, Plague, Oni, Pyramid Head, and Trickster left. I do not mind what order we do these in. At all. Hillbilly. Hillbilly. I think he's... Do you think B for Hillbilly? No, I go the opposite way. I actually go the opposite way. I think Hillbilly is... Although he's quick, I just don't think his chainsaw is as strong as Bubba's. Just because he can run across the map. Yeah, he's a one-hit killer, but Bubba can down a whole team if they're in the wrong spot. Potentially. Because you're comparing the two, so you made the comparison. Hillbilly runs, and he can down one person. I don't think I've ever seen a Hillbilly down two people. Yeah, Tiago, agree. But killer mastering the bullshit 90-degree turn, it's not common. We're talking about their base power. We're not talking about the people playing as them. Yeah, Bubba's slow. But, again, the speed element of Hillbilly is pretty silly to control. And curve, he needs add-ons. He needs add-ons for that curve. Realistically, he needs add-ons. We're talking base powers, remember? We're not using add-ons. In that case, you would put Billy lower. Yeah, I put Billy lower than Bubba. Billy's D, unfortunately. He's got one power. It's his chainsaw. Only affects one person. And he has to run. Or he has to stand still slower. It's quicker for Bubba to activate his... Yeah, of course he's lower. He's got to be lower than Bubba. Has to be. Has to be. They're basically the same. One's fast, one is normal speed. That's difference one. But you got more control over Bubba's chainsaw than you have Billy's. So that's a mark towards... Okay, so you're going speed. Okay, so you got speed. But then you got control. And then you got multiple downs. They're the differences. There's more points towards Bubba. Bubba's C. Hillbilly has to go D. Has to go D. They're the only comparisons. Hillbilly's got speed over Bubba, but Bubba's got control, and he's got multiple downs. And if you want to go one step further, Bubba can actually add chains to his attack. So he could do a short chainsaw, medium chainsaw, long chainsaw. Hillbilly's like, "Bah!" And that's really it. He could do a shorter chainsaw, but I mean, there's the control level is just not there. So if we're going Bubba a C, Hillbilly based on that has to be D. And by the way, that was the best impression of Hillbilly you've ever heard in your life. Don't tell me any different. That's us hoping everyone is in one place. Yeah, okay, but we'll use that example then, Jade. Quite easily. Face campers, both of them. And if there's zero altruism, then they're basically going to get one kill. If altruism's the same and people come for saves, Leatherface Bubba is devastating. If two people come to save on the hook when you're camping, Hillbilly's fucked. He's getting one. He's getting one. Bubba's getting 3. It's just it. So even in a camping scenario, in comparison, Bubba's getting more. Two people come to save, for instance, hypothetical situation. Hillbilly's getting one more down. But then he's going to lose the person on hook, potentially, if they save with borrowed. So he's doing a hook swap, which a normal killer would do a hook swap. Bubba, on the other hand, he's potentially downing all 3 people in that situation. Hellraiser is low. Just based... This is based on power, Tiago. So this isn't based on anything but their base power. No perks, no add-ons, no maps, nothing. It's their base power. We're not looking at MMR. We're looking at their base power. And because his initial range chain is shit, and he relies mainly on using the box, he's with these guys. Most of these guys at B have multiple uses of their one power, or their power is powerful. I mean, C is really more average killer. B is above average. A is really good. S is the best, ultra. And D is below average. They're below average. I think. I don't know. Not overall killer. Yeah, the overall killer's power. So, yeah. So the overall killer, yeah. Yeah, the chain slowdown, that's why he's C. But that's basically it. Because his actual range chain isn't really all that, to be honest. If it was nerfed, it could be better. He could be B if his initial possessed chain was better. But it's not. It's inconsistent in game. So we have to look at his other power, which is the box. He's got 2 powers, which puts him above D tier. But only really one of his powers is actually any good. That's why he's in C. If both of his powers was consistently good, he'd be B for me. Demo should not be B. When did this happen? He can teleport, which is the same as Onryo and Freddie, who are also in B. He's got Shred, so he's got a semi-ranged attack. And the portals can also be used for information. And I believe that's without add-ons. You can remove his teleports. Yeah, it takes a longer period of time to do it, and if he's smart where he puts them, you're not really going to get to that till like towards the end game. If he puts them out in the open like Trapper, then yeah, you can get rid of them, but you're probably not going to. But we're doing it based on power. We're not talking about counters really, because all of these can be countered in some way, shape, or form. We're not going into the counter route. We're just going on base power. So he's basically got 3 powers. Or 2.5 powers. So he's on Onryo teleport, Freddie teleports, he teleports. He's got a ranged attack. He's got snares and pallets. She's got what's it called? Well, she's got a Mori, which is like Pyramid Head. And she's got invisibility. He's got the oblivious thing, and he's technically oblivious when he comes out of a portal for a little bit, or undetectable, sorry. And yeah, I'm pretty sure the portals can be used for information as well. Yeah, I'm aware the teleports can be removed. That's like saying Freddy's pallets can be removed. Or his snares can be avoided. We're not talking about countering them. We're talking about their base powers. Like, you can counter all of these. We can go through all the lists and do counters if you want to. But their powers are still their powers. Trapper's down here because his traps can be disabled immediately with no penalty. Whereas Demo's traps take a bit longer to actually get rid of. And I'm pretty sure you get some sort of notification from that, if I'm not mistaken. And Freddy's got Go-Go Gadget Arm. Yeah, exactly. Demo, Freddy, and Onryo were very, very similar, apart from Demo's just not really that stealthy. That's basically the difference. If these two are in B tier, then Demo's definitely not in C tier. You can't remove Onryo or Freddy's teleports. Demo's got so many portals that it really wouldn't make a difference if you got rid of 1 or 2. Because the time it takes to do that, it's not the same as removing Trapper's traps. Trapper's traps go immediately. Whereas Demo's portals do take a little bit of time to get rid of. And Onryo's you can take away a teleport. Yeah, you can turn off the TVs. So yeah, based on that, he's very similar to them two. They're in B tier. He's easy B. He's an easy B. But she actually turns off her own TVs as well when she teleports. So not only do survivors turn off her teleports if they want to, she turns off her teleports. If he teleports, he can teleport pretty much in a couple of seconds back to the same one. It doesn't have to wait as long as Onryo. They're very similar. The teleports are very, very similar. She turns off her own TVs, which is a weakness. So if anything, this argument's actually going against Onryo. But no. They're B. My justification for them all being B is adequate. They're all the same. Although one I do want to talk about more than the others is Pyramid Head. I think Pyramid Head is B. I think he's got anti-loop. He's got the instant Mori. He's got the anti-hook. He doesn't even have to hook. Yeah, we are removing context and going by power. That's what the whole thing we've been trying to base on is purely on power. But Nurse's power's so good, she's better than B tier. Her power's that strong that she's above B. Otherwise, she would be probably B tier. Because she's only got the 1 power. And she's slow as fuck. But because her power's so good, she's above them. That's why. Yeah, we're not talking about MMR. At all. She's harder to play. Yeah, but that's a different aspect to the power. We haven't really delved too much into the learning curve. If we were talking about learning curve, that would impact others negatively as well. Because Doctor's anti-loop, you need to learn how to do that. Demo Shred, you need to learn when to do that and where to put his portals. Onryo, you need to learn when to manifest, when to demanifest. You need to learn all of them. A lot of these up here are actually higher learning curve than the bottom ones. Don't have to learn, really. Don't have to learn. Don't have to learn. Don't have to learn. Don't have to learn. Don't have... Like, the whole D tier is pretty much, like, pick up and play. You wouldn't. Maybe Billy. You might need to get better at Billy. He might be the only one that needs a little bit of practice. But the rest of D tier are pretty much pick up and play. C, you need a lot of practice, I would say, at Huntress, unless you play first-person shooters. Same with Deathslinger. Guess you could use the same argument for Hellraiser. Leatherface, you do need to learn to avoid objects. So there's a slight learning curve here. Need to learn. Really need to learn. So anyone that's not in the D tier really requires a bit of learning. Billy's chainsaw being amazing if you can get the term right. Yeah, exactly. Billy's probably the only one in D tier that needs a little bit of learning going with his chainsaw. But I mean, if you're adding need to learn, whereas Bubba's probably easier to learn, then he stays in D, right? If we're still comparing because they're the two chainsaw killers, if Billy needs more learning than Bubba, which I would say he does, then he's got to go in D if you're using the learning trick. Nurse could be brought down to B if you really want to lean heavy on the learning curve, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll do a test. Maybe I'll do a test and I will main her for a month at some point. Because I'm terrible as Nurse. I'll put myself through the pain and agony for the learning experience. See how long it takes me to get half decent. Nurse Power, you wouldn't consider being that amazing. She's up here over these guys because she doesn't really need to worry about loops. That's why she's above them. I mean, normally she's placed in S tier regardless of what the criteria is. I bumped her down because her base speed is slow. And I just don't think her power is better than Blight's, basically. Really, that was my justification. But her power negates loops completely. You still need to, although some of these have anti-loop, you still need to do some form of chasing round loops. Whereas Nurse can just ignore a loop. That's basically it. Her power is rated on that. If you think that's not as good, then I can understand why you might think that. And you might bump her lower. But just the fact that these guys all need some sort of... still need to go through a loop process. Or get to a loop to stop them in loop. Or whatever. I still think that makes Nurse higher than them. I hate Nurse, by the way. I hate playing as her. I hate playing against her. I would love to put her in the bin. I would love to not even have her on the list, if I'm totally honest. But I think realistically, I know too much information. I know too many stats, and I know too much of the community. There's too much opinion on her power being powerful, basically, that I can't put her any lower. I can't justify it. Yeah, she's slow as fuck, but that's why she's A, not S. Her base speed drops her here, because Blight doesn't lose his base speed. And I think her power is stronger than some of these. I would say her power is better than Spirit, and we've got Spirit in B. I think Doctor's underrated a lot of the time, and I put him in B. I think certain maps, when you start bringing in other conditions, the list does change. So we're trying to look at it solely based on powers. I completely hate her, to be honest. I hate her. Probably because I don't have the patience to learn her. Maybe I should do that as a stream thing. I should dedicate some time as a test. Like a month or so, just to see if I get any better. Which I doubt, but I probably would. I think you'd have to if you were dedicating that much time. Pyramid Head. I think Pyramid Head is B. Anti-loop, Maury's. Anti-hook. He doesn't even have to get to a hook. He can avoid all this shit if he's got Trail of Torment playing. He's got Trail of Torment. That's an extra power. He could be A. But I think it's just his mobility around the map that leaves him here at B with the others. Because the teleporters are here because they can get around the map, but then they don't have the same anti-loop or the same anti-hook that Pyramid has. Would anyone like to throw in their 30 cents or whatever it is? I could justify Pyramid Head being A. I really could. I think I really could. Honestly, I think he could go there, to be fair. But, personally, I think he'd B. Just off of map pressure. Great map pressure. Great map pressure. A lot of these have good map pressure but don't have the same anti-loop or vice versa. This B list is like... Yeah. He should be A. Have you seen the big fucking sword? Yeah. I could justify him being A, if I'm honest. If I'm honest. The anti-loop. I mean, if we use Jade's argument from earlier, you could just hold forward, I guess. That works for a bit until you reach the end of the map, I guess. But yeah, I think he's B. I think that's fair to put him in B. I haven't played really against top tier Pyramid Heads. I think that question's for you, Tiago, because you said A. I could see him in A. I could see an argument for him being in A. To back up what he's saying, but I personally think he's B. He doesn't just have anti-loop though. You've got to remember he's got anti-hook. If he's used Trail of Torment, he doesn't have to deal with the bullshit of Swifts trying to get onto body blocks and flashlights and all that. He could just send you straight to the cage, which is a hook in itself. And he's got a Mori, built-in Mori, which happens a lot more than Onryo's. So he's got a lot going for him. Really. Punishment of the Damned, Trail of Torment, Cage, Mori. He's got a lot going for him. And all of it's pretty good. If you put Nurse in A, I honestly think he should be in A as well. Because you do have some kind of anti-loop power. He has the wire for extra blood trail. He's anti-hook thing in the cage. Again, I agree with what you're saying. I could see him being in A tier as well. I don't know. I think I'm comfortable with him being in B. Just for the fact that his map pressure isn't quite the same. Certain maps, his map pressure is not as good as some as the others in B. And I think that's where he's sort of on their level. That's his main weakness. It's probably map pressure. Realistically. So I'm comfortable with him being in B. I think I like him there. But I can completely understand your argument for putting him in A. Yeah. Cool. Hag. This might upset some people, actually. But I think Hag is D. I'm being controversial. Not for the sake of it either. I think D. I think she's one of the best at scaring people. When you don't know when her teleports... If you didn't see her trap and you set it off, it can make you jump. Fantastic. It's a horror game. That's what we like. But it's pretty shit. It's pretty shit. It's really bad as a power. Plus she's short. So her visibility on certain... I know we're not talking about maps. But her visibility can be a problem because she's short. And that's all she has, yeah. All she has is the teleport. And it has limitations. I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying that, right, guys? She's limited to how far she can actually teleport. So if she's too far away from a trigger trap, she can't do anything. Which is hilarious. Yeah, she's just pretty awful, to be honest. This is definitely the one-trick pony club. There's a couple of exceptions here, but like Pig, she's got more powers. And Ghostface technically has 2 powers, but this is really the one-trick pony club. Being short gives visibility issues. Well, you would know, Schnook Boo, you would know, being short yourself. But yeah. Oh yeah, look, you'll like this actually. It's me on a t-shirt. Let's go. When's Chucky coming into the game? Let's go. Anyway. Yeah, so that's Hag. My hair does look kind of ginger in this light. It's not, honestly. But right. Way. Right, Trickster. Range Killer. Like Huntress. Like Death Singer. If Chucky gets in the game, I'm not playing Survivor anymore. I would be a Chucky main. As long as his power's decent, I would be a Chucky main. It's like adding Annabelle. They might do that. They might do that. I would like them to add Chucky, though. I think he has to go here. The other ranged killers are in C. Yeah, I think he has to go there. I think just based on the arguments for the other guys. He's a faster M1 than Huntress, but his range attack I wouldn't say is as effective. It's still good, but it's not as effective. I think he has to go in with those guys. I think that's a really easy one. Yeah? I give you like 5 seconds to say your piece and I'll move on to... We've only got 2 left. We only got 2 left, guys. It'll be the end of the tier list. Good. No comments. Good. Good. Plague. No arguing here. Alright, that's all I need to know. Plague, I'm going to drop her straight into B. Straight into B. I think you could give her again an argument to be A tier. But again, for the same reasons I left Pyramid Head in B, she doesn't always have the map pressure. But her insta downs are amazing. The Addictive Games. Hello. Welcome. Thanks for coming through. We're just going over a tier list. My tier list for killers. But this is based on their power. Base power. Yeah, base power. Not on perks, add-ons, maps, anything like that. So we're nearly done, actually. So Plague, similar to Pyramid Head. They could both be A tier, in my opinion. But just lacking on the map pressure. If Clown is S tier, I'm throwing a bottle at you. Unfortunately, I would... Yo! Got a new cult member. I would put Clown...
37 is now in the cult.
I would put Clown in my favourites list. Probably up there. He might be A tier in my favourites list. Just as one of my favourite killers. But, yeah, when it comes down to it, he's unfortunately D. I think most people would throw a bottle at me if I put him at S. That's quite funny. But thank you to Belgo. Appreciate you following. Another cult member. Once you're in, you're in. That sounded like a really shit Nike advert, didn't it? We got one left, though. We got Oni. You are the one and only. I think... I don't want to give him the Hillbilly treatment. Mainly because he's got to be S tier. I'd throw a bottle of fine scotch at you if you put him in S. Well, I'd like a fine bottle of scotch, so maybe I will put Clown in S just so you throw one at me. I think Oni scrapes C. For similar reasons to Hillbilly. But I believe he can down more than one person. But he does have insta down, insta move. He doesn't necessarily have to use them together. It's kind of 2 powers rather than 1. He's similar to Hillbilly, but I think he's got a bit more control when he sprints. So for that, I think he's slightly better than Hillbilly. But I don't think he's better than any of these guys to be moved up to B, because his one power is kind of two powers, but it's not. Yeah, I think C. I think C. I think C, guys. Honestly, that's it. I think no Scotch for me. No, I wish. I wish. The only one I'm surprised at is twins. Where did I put twins? Twins. Okay. Would you have put them lower or higher? Decent list. Oh, you agreed. Okay, I thought we were going to disagree more, to be honest. I thought we would have disagreed more. Interesting. I'm surprised at the amount of people that agreed with me. In terms of power, you'd say lower. Victor is gimmicky. He is. I can see why you'd say that. I can literally see why you'd say that. It was just based on more what you can do with the power. And Twins has the best slugging ability, bar the two chainsaw guys, realistically, than anyone else. And because she can do that, and her camping is pretty high, not that we condone camping on this channel, but yeah, although it is gimmicky, she does have other things she can do with it. LOL! LOL! GG's! Yeet! Yeah, I'm having to do the sound alerts. My sound alerts are broken right now, okay? Don't judge me. I condone camping. Jade, you were too quick. Yeah, see, I do camp as well. If I feel like I want to camp, I will camp. I don't have a problem with camping, but if you've got to get a kill, then you've got to get a kill. That's literally it. That's literally it the whole time. That's what they all say. Oh, come on. You will. I can't keep doing the sound alerts, guys. Come on. Cut me some fucking slack. It's Friday. You forgot the uwers. That's my tier list. There we go. I want to quickly screenshot it because I'm going to do a video. I might turn that into a YouTube video. There we go. Let's save that. Download, save. Nice. Cool. Yes, so, yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm not going to do another tier list tonight, though. I can rest an entire weekend from this. Why can't I select Uwu? It's probably been used too many times. Uwu! Uwu! There you go. You happy? Yeet! Stop with the Uwus. I'm having to do the sound alerts. Come on. Why are you doing this to me? Wait, where's Pinman? Pinhead was C. C tier. If his chain was consistent with his box chains, he probably would have been B. I can't see the boy. Yes, there we go. There we go, guys. So I am going to call it a day. The tier list took a little bit longer than I thought it would, but I'm glad we got there. We had some good conversations. It was fun to hear everyone's opinions. We'll probably do another one in the future. We might do Survivors or something, or maybe Perks. I don't know. I think most people agree on those, though, so I don't know if it's worth doing. But I appreciate each and every one of you for stopping by. And I hope to see you again in the next one.